Alright, so more news, more rumors. So not news, rumors. This video is more about rumors for two new models of Nintendo Switch and about why Nintendo would be thinking that. Which, they may be rumors, but I feel like Nintendo's probably going to make this happen. Probably not soon, but I think it is going to happen sooner or later. So the Wall Street Journal posted another article about supposedly suppliers and other people have knowledge of two new consoles, a cheaper one and a more expensive one to come out. So roughly probably like $150 to $200 console and maybe a $400 console. So these are just rumors. Let's get that out of the way. But why do I think Nintendo will be doing that? So I think, first and foremost, the cheaper one makes absolute sense. Like, 3DS is on its last limb, which means the 2DS is on its last limb. So not only would Nintendo be losing a $80 price point console and a $150 price point console, they'd be losing any other console and games below their home console. Which, yet again, their Switch is their home and portable console. So, why should it matter? Well, those are pretty good price points to help sell more consoles. So it seems almost like Nintendo would be thinking that, well, when the 3DS does go, we need something to take that place, but also be part of the Switch family. So according to the article, they talk about losing features like HD Rumble and other non-essential features to a portable console, which absolutely makes sense. If Nintendo was going to do a small portable version, I feel like you get rid of the detachable Joy-Cons. Let's be honest, Joy-Cons are so small that if you need to use them for a game, you could probably bring one or two with your smaller, cheaper Switch and still be smaller and easier to carry around than taking a whole full Switch with you. So in my mind, if Nintendo's doing this, they're probably doing a smaller screen Switch with the controllers attached to it and no HD Rumble because, that takes out money. So that probably means that, the IR sensor's probably taken out because you can't take them off, so no reason to point them at a screen. What other features? Those are probably the two big ones. The not having detachable, I guess, is a feature. So that would mean the system can be smaller, easier to get around, which is the main thing I don't use my Switch for portably. I use it on dock, which means I walk around my house and play it sometimes. But most of the time I just leave it on my dock because it's kind of large to be portable. So I can't put it in my pocket. So to me, I feel like you bring the Switch down to, a little bit larger than the 3DS XL, put it in your pocket, and that screen will become even better looking for portable games. Because some people say, oh, it doesn't look so good. Yeah, but imagine if that screen is half the size. It's going to look amazing, almost like it does on the TV. So it would kind of make the game sell better because it'd be like, hey, it looks great. I don't think they'd get rid of the dock feature. I think you might just have to buy a separate dock, for an extra $30 or something that just fits the, Switch Mini or cheaper Switch. So you could still have it at home and dock it on your TV and play it that way with an additional controller you have to buy separately, which, let's be honest, if you're buying a console, you buy extra controllers anyways, so why wouldn't you have the ability to dock it? I feel like right there should limit the price to, a decent price point. Probably the $200, but I would like to see it at $150. I think $150, $159 takes the place of the 3DS and allows a lot more people to get into the Switch, play the Switch games, play them at home, play them on the go, without having to have the full-size Switch, which, if I didn't have a Switch, I'd probably buy the cheaper one. So it makes sense. I think Nintendo will do that sooner or later. Will it be announced at E3 like the article says? I don't know, that might be a little soon. I wouldn't be shocked, but I still think it's probably next year. Unless they're trying to get ahead of, maybe Sony's next console and Xbox next console. That way, when those consoles come out, they have such a large foothold of players that they still have a great foothold and a great, presence over the gaming industry. So, sooner is probably better with that taken. So yes, I'd love to see one, the size of a, maybe an old Game Gear or a little bit larger than the 3DS, so that way you have a pretty good sized screen, but not too small, but still small enough to make it portable. Now, they also are talking about a more expensive console, which, we're all saying, people that like to speculate about it, it's like a Pro, like a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X, a new 3DS or a new Switch type thing. This one makes more sense to me, in the sense that Nintendo likes to plan ahead, and they like to really have everything going. So I feel like a more expensive Nintendo Switch makes sense for the fact that right now they have a thing called Nintendo Labo VR coming out soon. Now, I did a video on Nintendo Labo VR. You can check that out at the end of the video. I'll have a link to it. But I think that if they like the idea of VR, then they're going to want a more powerful console. So that's still probably far off. They're probably using the Labo as their test. And then when they're ready, they come out with a better VR unit that can actually strap to your head. But you need a more powerful console. Well, what if they come out with a Pro console now that is more powerful, so that way their VR headset in the future will have a better console to attach to, so those VR games look better. Because right now, Labo VR, it looks like what the games should look like for the Switch. Now, if they wanted to handle better VR games, so more people could make games for it, you're probably going to want a more powerful console. More in the lines of, your PS4 regular or your Xbox One regular. Would a Pro Switch, new Switch, be as powerful as a regular PS4? I would think that that's where they would want to get to at the very least, so that that console can handle VR, and it's closer to the PS5 and Xbox 2 or 3 or 4, whatever they want to call it this year. So that way games that are on that console will be more scalable to the next Switches and work their way down. And basically by announcing it now and getting one out soon, it gives more time to people to gradually upgrade to a new Switch, or more adopters to join that. So by the time they announce a VR unit, it's probably more than half of their user base would probably have the more powerful Switch and jump on board. Because let's be honest, with PSVR, tons of games are coming out for it. PSVR is being supported, and there's only really a few million units sold, I believe. I forget the exact number, but it's not like half of the PS4 owners have PSVR. So really, Nintendo only needs a more powerful console to slowly get VR running, and to get closer to the PS4 and Xbox 2, 3, So I think it makes sense if they came out with a powerful system now. That'd give new people to jump on board that were like, it's not powerful enough for the games I'd like to see. And it gives people time to upgrade, sign up, join the bandwagon. And by the time they announce a VR unit of like late next year or the year after, enough people own a powerful Nintendo Switch to be ready for it. The other reason why I think they might not be doing a new Switch Pro yet is I think the longer they wait to do that, closer to like the PS5 and Xbox 2's launches, would be that they'll have a more powerful Switch with cheaper parts because they waited long enough. Or they wait until maybe the next console's launch, and then the following year they have a more powerful Switch, a Super Switch type deal, where they close the gap even more. Because if they release one now, they're probably not closing the gap enough to where third parties will be able to easily transport their games. Yeah, they can do it now, but how much more of a drag will it be for developers when the next gen consoles come out? Nintendo doesn't want to lose all those third parties and people coming over, so they need to kind of match it up and get closer. It doesn't have to be that close, but the same distance between the Switch and the PS4s now, that's kind of where they need to set themselves for the PS5s and Xboxes, then to the new Pro Switch. Will it get announced this year? I think sooner or later it will. I think if they want to set up their goals for like maybe the VR in a year or two, I think they want to get the Pro out this year, at the end of the year, to be in line and ready and set up so enough adopters will be ready for like, hey, try Nintendo VR. You saw it on Labo, now try the real thing. Because by then, Labo VR will probably be old news, so they're not going to be kicking it to this curve. So yeah. How much would it cost? $400, easily. I don't think they could go any higher than that without really not selling any. So, you know, if they could do like a 150, 175 portable one, cheap, small, a little bit less features, and a $400 one, and keep the regular Switch at like $250 when the new one comes out, then you got a nice little family. I mean, I think it would work. Xbox has done it, PS4 has done it, and it hasn't really hurt their sales. So it's either Nintendo makes a Switch Slim, like the PS4 and Xbox One has, or they make a Switch Pro or a Switch, I guess the Switch Slim would be probably the cheaper model. So an upgrade or modified console is coming. It's just which version do they want to go, or do they want to go both ways? I think they go both ways. Portable cheap one to get more hands on deck, more expensive ones to get the other crowd of people so that you have every person you could think of covered. And basically because the games are scalable as it is, a new Pro Switch, the game should just go in it and be like, oh, you have more power, let's give you more stuff. Oh, you have the less power, we'll give you less stuff. Because they're already set up like that for the dock and for portability, so it shouldn't be that difficult. So, yeah. What do you guys think? You think they're going to be coming out with one this year? It wouldn't surprise me. Which one would you want to buy? The more portable, maybe smaller version, or more powerful one that's probably going to stay on your dock more often than not? Alright guys, have a good night, keep on gaming, and check out my other videos. Yeah, there'll be, you can check out my Labo VR, and the other talk I had on what I'd like to see for Switch videos. Okay, have a good night guys.